So if you came here to hear how to continuously create new content for your blog, I'm not the person to talk about it. So I'm sorry. I'm asking this question from a theoretical point of view, from scientific point of view. I'm a data scientist. I tried to write a blog once and I failed, and I tried twice and I hope not to fail. But we all know that writing blog is hard, right? Who wrote a blog or is writing a blog now? Yeah, okay. So you know that it's hard, especially if you want to create a high quality content, right? And especially if you want to do it over and over again for months and for years, because it is a very hard job. So I work for Automatic, the company behind WordPress.com, and we have a lot of users. Do you have an idea how many of users who came, opened an account, created at least one blog post, and even received one like? How many of them continue for 3 months? No? 10%. 33%. Yeah. WordPress.com. Automatic. Yeah. And after 1 year, less than 15%. So I'm not talking about the people who came to WordPress.com, opened an account, posted hello world, and that's it. I'm talking about people who created something, received some feedback, and even then, 85%, more than 95%, can't continue for 1 year. Okay? I used to write a blog about data science. It took me 8 months, and I just gave up. I had 6 visitors per day, including my mother, I think. Okay? So it's hard work. Now I have another blog, and I have a single post. So, yeah, and 2 comments, right, from my coworkers. So it's a hard job. So I'm not the person who will speak from his own experience. I'm speaking about a scientific approach. So this is this study. I'm doing it in collaboration with Lior Zalmanson. He's a researcher in the New York University. And we are taking a very basic science approach in order to analyze what keeps people writing and persisting with their jobs. Especially my intuition was that if I could team up with somebody and we can run a blog together, maybe it will help both of us writing a good quality blog for longer times. Okay? It turns out that there are several theories, opposing theories, about whether teaming up will help us or not. And I will show you how we test these 2 theories in the connected world of WordPress.com, because we have a lot of users, and some of the users interact one with another, right? And I will show you how I collect the data, and then I will show you some graphs that might appear to you as the silver bullet of blogging success. They are not. Okay, keep that in mind. And then I will talk about teaming up, and then I will talk about fairness, because I'm father to 3 daughters, and fairness is everything. Yeah, everything has to be fair. So the actual question that I will ask, and that I will provide a partial answer to, is: do we work better in groups compared to work as individuals? And as I said, there are 2 competing theories. As almost every field in the science, you can find evidence for one thing and evidence for the complete opposite. So, for example, there is a phenomenon called social loafing that was described a long time ago. He was an engineer, Ringelmann from France. And basically, he claims that when people work in teams, some people will just put less effort into the team job compared to what they would do when they work alone. On the other hand, there is social compensation theory that says that people who work in teams try to compensate and try to strive up with the team. Yeah? So, which is the true? For example, in the world of blogging. And to answer this question, I decided to analyze the activities of our users and to look how they interconnect one with another. So we have, I checked this number yesterday, more than 102 million of registered users, right? And 110 million of registered blogs and sites. Well, some of them are test sites, some of them are spam sites, but there is a lot of data to analyze, and the nice thing is that these are real people. Most of them are real people, and when I analyze their activity, I analyze real people. So let's look at a very small example of how these social interactions between people works in our world, in my world. So this is Elise. Elise writes a blog post about data science. To this blog, then we will call it B1. Okay? And she's happy. Now comes Bob, and Bob also is a data scientist. And Elise convinces Bob to write about data science, and Bob contributes to the same blog. So they just have a joint venture. Okay? So now Elise is a contributor to this blog, and Bob is a contributor to this blog. As time passes by, Elise stopped writing. She doesn't have the time, she doesn't have the motivation, and Bob is continuing, is writing and is contributing content. So I want to be able to quantify the different levels of contribution of these two people, and let's call it strength. Sometimes we call it weight. So Elise is connected with 0.5 strength to this blog, and Bob is 8 times stronger connected to this blog. Okay? Now comes Charlie, and Charlie presses the like button on Elise's post. So now I treat this event as if Elise brought a new client to this blog. So you could see that I increase this connection between Elise and the blog, and I consider Elise to be a stronger contributor to this blog. Okay? Accidentally, Charlie is writing his own blog, and he is connected to it, and he's a lone wolf, and he doesn't collaborate with anyone. Elise is also writing about cars, right? So she, Daphne, and Eve, they, 3 of them are writing to the same blog, and now everybody contributes a little bit to this blog. Okay? So now we can count how many collaborators every blogger has. So Charlie obviously doesn't have any collaborator. He's a lone wolf. Elise collaborates with Bob and Daphne and Eve, so she has 3 collaborators. Bob is collaborating with Elise, 1 collaborator, and so on and so forth. Now, I don't like zeros, because they make some mathematics don't work very well. So I will count every person as a collaborator of himself. So now Elise has 4 collaborators, including herself. Bob has 2 collaborators. And Charlie has 1 collaborator. So he doesn't have a 0 besides his name. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So now I want to ask a question. Is this number 4, 2, 1, 3 connected to the probability of a person to continue blogging for a prolonged time? I don't know. That's why I will show you. So my first initial hypothesis was that Charlie would have a harder time to stick with blogging compared to Elise and Eve. And I will show you some evidence for what I will show you, right? So this approach is not new in the entire world. It exists for a couple of decades. I started analyzing social interactions within WordPress.com when I joined the company almost 2 years ago. And yeah, I can produce really nice pictures. I love these pictures. And if you have a more academic mindset, you can Google for this talk that I gave 1 year ago, and we can also do a lot of cooperation. It will be nice. Okay, so this is my question. And now some people said yes, some people said no, I will test it. So I'm collecting data about WordPress.com users who registered between January 13 and February 14. 1 year and 1 month, and who received at least 1 like. Okay? Why do I require this, put this requirement? Just to filter out people who just open a blog account and then leave it alone. Yes. Public. No. I didn't filter out private posts. Yeah. I did exclude VIP users. So I don't know if you know, but WordPress.com hosts sites for CNN, for Time, for TED, and they are professional writers. So it will be completely unfair to take them into account. I excluded every user who was noticed with the term of service violations or spam. It has to be TOS. And we in Automatic use WordPress.com for internal communication. So yeah, we are out of this analysis too. So what I have is 570,000 of authors inside the network of more than 5 million of active users. Yeah, these are only new users. No. I'm talking about WordPress.com users, not WordPress users, WordPress.com. I know nothing about people who self-host their blogs.
Because most of the people that are serious with blogging, they have their own site and they don't use WordPress.
Well, yes, unfortunately for me. And you will see why it's also unfortunate for them, but I will show you some data that I hope that will convince otherwise. Okay? Yeah, many people write out, have self-hosted blogs. Yeah. So now, if you notice, these people joined on the span of more than 1 year. So in order to make an analysis easier, I bring all of them to the same time scale. So this is the user registration. I call it 0. 3 months after the registration, I collect the data. I collect the number of collaborators, basically. And then I wait for 1 year to ask whether this user who registered here still blogs here. Right? I don't care about what happened here.
What do you mean blog? I mean, how many posts does he have to post a week?
If you registered here and you got at least 1 like, I got your data here, and then you went to a vacation and accidentally wrote a post here, so for this analysis you are survival. Okay? So there is a limit of how of the resolution, what resolution you can get when you analyze this amount of people. Okay? But you didn't know that I will analyze you, so you couldn't just run and pretend that you are blogging. You have no interest. It's not that I'm looking for fraudster or something like that. So on average, I hope that this analysis represents the reasonable human beings, right? So now that you know how I collect the data, I will show you some graphs. Again, some of them might look like a silver bullet, like a magic formula. It's not. So the first graph that I want to share with you is, and you will see a lot of graphs like this. So here I plot the survival probability. What is the probability that the user whom I seen at data collection time will blog 1 year after? And here I plot the number of incoming likes. So you can see that 171,000 of people had exactly 0 like at the time of data collection. 171,000, 0 likes. And those people have the probability of 2% to continue blogging 1 year after the analysis.
I thought you said you selected for people who already had at least 1 like.
Nice question. So they had to have at least 1 like here. But as you remember, the connection fades out. Every connection fades out. So if you got 1 like 1 day after the registration and then nothing happened, I don't count this like event. Yeah. Yeah.
But getting a like, getting someone to like the blog might suggest that the blogger himself was already more engaged or more
Exactly.
active.
That is why I say be careful with this graph. But we will continue. Exactly. So the question is, it's like you ask me how to be rich, and I say, well, get a lot of money and you will be rich, right?
Yeah.
So if I am a good blogger and I write good stuff and I am well motivated, I will have a lot of likers and I will continue blogging. Why not?
Yeah, but it's not the likes that made you continue blogging. Maybe because you are devoted and like what you.
Yes. So this is the question: whether the likes motivate me or whether I motivate the likes.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't have a quantitative data for this yet, that there is some interaction between the two, as everything in the life. Okay? But yes, I think. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't have a direct control of the incoming likes unless you do some fishy stuff, and people don't do fishy stuff. Yeah, we are all decent people.
You mean like to a post in the blog?
Yeah. Yeah, like to a post, not to comments.
But you know, sorry, but you know
Yeah.
that in some blogs, I mean, you have to enable the option.
So the blog who did not enable this option of being liked,
At the beginning they were not in the.
they are not in this. Yeah.
But it's enabled by default, almost.
Yeah.
You have to turn it off, so if you don't want it.
Yeah. So now I ask another question: whether there is some connection between the number of likes that an author gives to others. Has any connection to the
Because when you give like to others, the others see that you gave them the like and they come.
Yeah,
to your
exactly. So this is what I see, that users who don't give any likes have only 5% of survival probability. Users who give 1 like, not much of improvement, but users who give between 17 and 32 likes
Yeah.
for the first 3 months, right, have much higher probability to survive. And this, I don't know.
Others, so they also receive ideas to get to.
Yes. So this is the question: what motivates what? But at least for this one, you have a direct control over what you are doing, because you are controlling the likes that you click. And if you self-host your blog and you don't have Jetpack, so you don't have this community of people whom you can like or people who can like you. Okay? And again, this is the question that you asked: what's the causation and what's the result? Okay. So if I say red-haired people have higher chance to have a heart attack, if you dye your hair, it doesn't help you, right? And so this is not a silver bullet, but I think, and again, I don't have a data to prove this. I'm sure that some of the result is some of the success is caused by these interactions between human beings. But this does not answer the original question, whether people who team up have a higher probability to continue blogging. Yes?
Also in the previous slide, it dipped.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe there are spammers, I don't know. But again, can you see this shaded area? It means how confident I am about this number. So as you can see, we have only 1,000 of people here. So I'm not as confident in this number as I am confident in this number. So yeah. But yes, you can overdo. We will see some drops several more times. So my initial hypothesis and my gut feeling was that if you team up with another person, you work together and you can continue working better. Yeah. So let's take a look on this graph, on this network once more. And so the question is Charlie, who has only one collaborator, himself, not 0, 1, is he more prominent, more likely to continue blogging compared to Elise, who has 4 collaborators, including herself? Or maybe the other way around, or maybe there is no connection between the two. So there is connection. There is a connection. Because according to the data that I see, people who write alone, they are the biggest group in my study, more than 500,000 of users. They have only 6% probability of 6% to continue blogging. If you team up with an additional person, you have 9% of continue blogging. It's 3% compared, I mean, it's 50% increase in probability. And I don't know yet, again, what is the correlation, what is the causation, but I think a lot of this is the driving force and not the other way around. The driving force brings you in teaming up. Again, and it's still my subjective opinion. And as you can see, adding more people doesn't add too much to the probabilities until you go to more than 16 people. And then it's like you have a small newspaper. And when you look at these sites, not too much of them, only 900 people, you can see that a lot of these people are working for some small newspaper that have a really nice site on WordPress.com. But yes, so the question to my original answer is, the answer to my original question is, teaming up apparently helps improving your probability to continue blogging. But now we come back to the competing theories about what comes first. Whether weak people strive to work better with the stronger ones, or maybe the weak people keep the stronger people back. Yeah, and the fairness question. Because in each team there will be people who contribute less, and each team will be accomplishment driven. So we have another network. And in this network, we have Elise, who contributes 10 something to block B1, and Bob with the contribution of 5, and Charlie with contribution of 0.1. So the question is, will Elise feel abused for being the only one who contributes to this blog, and the rest of the team does nothing, and maybe she will leave? Or maybe Charlie will feel insecure and will say, well, Elise does the job, why should I care? Or maybe, I don't know, and maybe Charlie will leave. Okay? So if we will try to quantify the inequality of contribution to a blog, and we will look at people who contribute significantly less than the average, at people who contribute exactly the average contribution to the blog, and people who contribute a lot more than the average, we expect to see one of these four graphs, right? It may be, the answer may be that people who don't contribute will fade away, and those who contribute a lot will stay with us. It can be the other way around. Yes, so in my previous example, the A graph will correspond to the situation where Charlie lives and Alice stays. B corresponds to the situation where Alice lives and Charlie stays, and we might have some optimal point. Do you want to guess?
Both scenarios can happen.
A. Yeah, I think it resembles A the most. So what I see in the data that I analyze, that people who contribute the average or less than an average have the same probability of staying. But the leaders, the people who contribute the most to the blogs, they have a much higher probability of staying. But look, even if you don't contribute a lot to a blog, don't be afraid, because not contributing a lot and contributing the average means the same contribution after all. So if you want to team up with somebody and you don't feel that you will write a lot, it's okay. I mean, at least in this aspect. Maybe Alice will be angry, but okay? And the other way around is true. If you are the major contributor to a blog, it's okay, because you're the leader, you are the driving force. It's okay. We can ask another question. As you can see, B1 has a very unbalanced contribution, and B2 has a very balanced contribution. So now the question is, since B1 enjoys more equal contribution, will it survive longer than B2? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And for this one, we have a very nice measurement of inequality. We call it the Gini Index. We know it from economics, right? So I can measure it very nicely from 0, which is total equality, like North Korea. Everybody is giving the same. And 1 is complete inequality, where nobody has nothing, and only one person gives the, well, in this situation, only one person gives, but yeah. So again, if you have to guess, which blog will survive longer? The blogs that are more equal, or blogs that are less equal? Well, I was sure that more equal blogs will survive longer. I was completely sure. And when I saw this one, that means that equal blogs survive less, I was excited. I mean, nothing makes me happier than making a hypothesis and then disproving it. It's like, you know, it's like in class in science philosophy. You make a theory and you disprove it. I was so excited. But yeah, blogs that are very equal have much lower probability to survive. You can see the numbers are very high here because we are talking about blogs with many contributors, right? But yeah, blogs with unequal blogs are much likelier to survive.
How is this information affected?
I don't know yet. No, I know. I will, yeah. So how this information affects it? Because you saw all these nice steps in my chain, and now, so what? So what? So first of all, be social. I don't know if it will make you blogging better or not. It will not harm you. It is good for your karma, and it might help you recruiting some driving force and some motivation. And in order to be social, you have to pick up your blogging platform. And you have to be closer to the people you want to interact with.
So you say
No, it's not. It's what you said.
No, because if you want to be social.
No, you have. I think that you have to be social. You can choose how social you are. You can publish a self-hosted blog and install Jetpack, and you can publicize. Yeah, it's our product. Yeah. You can publicize and you set up your WordPress blog to share your posts to Twitter and Facebook, and then you can interact on Facebook. It's okay, but interactions is important because we as human beings are not living in a vacuum. We need some feedback and we need some idea bouncing, right?
When you're saying likes, you refer to Facebook likes?
No. WordPress.com.
In post.
In post likes.
We have specific likes. It's a different kind. You can have them in Jetpack too.
Okay. So I was expecting a question, why do you count likes and not comments or views? Yeah, it's easier to count then. Yeah. Okay.
More gives you the motivation to interact.
It's like looking for a key where the light is. It's much easier to count likes than to count everything else. And I think that it gives me and us and you a good idea of the situation. So the first one is being social. Second one, I'm a strong believer of teaming up. Not because I was grown in the USSR, where the collectivism was the thing, but yes, if I don't have the motivation to write a blog every week, not even every month. And if you read any post about blogging success and stuff like that, people will tell you you have to provide the content every X days because people are expecting from you. And if you don't, you just lose interest and your audience loses interest. But if you are two people, you can back up one another. And I have shown you some evidence that it helps. It helps. And it also helps to have a leader in every project, so that somebody is leading the effort, and it is okay for a person to be not a leader or to take the leading position. It's okay. Having a leader on the project will help the project survive, at least according to this data. Okay, thank you. Questions?
Yeah. So will Automatic consider these conclusions and maybe encourage people to interact or even make changes or encourage people to team up and make changes in the features of you should if you want to team up or you should team up, do something in order to
Okay, I will ask. There are two levels to answer this question. First of all, it's super easy to open a blog and to bring multiple authors to a blog. LiveJournal, when they did it, they did a huge buzz of it. They call it LiveJournal communities. In WordPress, it's a built-in functionality, right? Now, WordPress.com has a thing that is called Blogging University, when the editorial team brings up new, usually it's new bloggers, and they try to build some, and give them assignments and to divide them in groups and do very interesting stuff. And we can see, and I've shown this in the previous lecture that I gave 1 year ago, that bringing people together helps the communities to stick together. And all the tools are there. If we as a company create a community that is created by a company, we have some responsibilities for this community. So Blogging University is a moderated community, but in order to moderate stuff, you have to invest a lot of effort, and I don't know. But it's super easy in WordPress to create a community. You just have a blog, we invite some users, and that's it.
That wasn't the question. I mean, Automatic Mike obviously wants people to continue writing the blogs.
Yes.
Not just open them after a year and leave.
Yeah.
So I think if they encourage people to
I
be
think too.
part of those things.
I think too. That's why I'm presenting this information.
Are you going to post it in?
Yes, in my blog, Random Stratum, I just have to proof edit the text. I have the
Maybe
text.
you should get someone else to write the blog with you and then
Interesting idea.
like others.
Yeah, yeah. But then, no, it's about fairness and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I will publish this. Come to my blog and you will find it hopefully tomorrow. And yes, I certainly would like to WordPress in general, and WordPress.com to be a more social interaction, see more social interaction, and we are doing a lot of things in this direction.